Hey everyone, welcome to another episode. Remember that pile of sorghum Sudan grass cover crop biomass that I cut down in the episode before last? Well, there it is, still sitting on the plastic, and I changed my mind. Or at least I changed my mind in part. I'm not going to let that dry down and use it as a mulch on my strawberries. I'm going to use shredded leaves mostly, and I'm going to cut these stalks with this little setup that I have here. Now, and I'll tell you why very shortly. But this is a jerry-rigged contraption here on my whiz-bang garden cart, just using some scrap wood. That's the lid off of a shipping crate and my hedge shears, and this is cutting. It helps if I do it with two hands, but that's cutting these stalks, these 6 foot plus long stalks, into short lengths, like you see there. Okay, I'm going to get a cart full, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do with those, which is a little brainstorm I had, and I'm pretty excited about this little brainstorm. It has to do with my Minibeds-on-Plastic Experimental Garden. So I'm going to fill this cart up now with the short lengths of sorghum Sudan grass, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do with it. Now, before I show you what I'm going to do with those cuttings, I want to show you a mini bed and explain what I do with the mini bed after a crop has grown on it before I plant another crop. In this case, I'm going to plant a cover crop for the winter. But you can see there that the frame is off. It simply lifts off the 3 pins that hold it in place. And I have used the broom and I've swept the plastic off. I've swept away what I didn't want in the bed, and any silt and dirt and good organic matter I've swept into the bed. And I've kind of heaped things up in the center. And I want to show, if I can, that this bed itself is somewhat dry, but there's a bit of a color difference. You can see it's moist. And I've got ant activity, and I've got roots on top of the soil under the plastic. It's not all dead under there is the point I want to make, and I don't think I was able to show that very well, but that's the point. It's not all dead under there. Now, I'll get my greenery and show you what I'm going to do with it. Okay, what you're looking at here now is a quantity of that sorghum Sudan grass cut into short lengths, laid around the perimeter of the mini bed. And I have placed it around the perimeter of the mini bed to show you what I am going to take, all of this material, and I'm going to lift the plastic and slide it under the plastic around the perimeter of the mini bed. This organic matter on the soil under the black plastic will be an organic mulch covered by an inorganic mulch of plastic. Weeds will not grow, but the mulch will serve its purpose of feeding in time, as it breaks down, the biology in the soil, the organisms in the soil. It will provide food for them, and it will also temper somewhat the temperature fluctuations under the black plastic. The soil biology will ebb and flow with moisture and temperature. This will just add to the value of this whole idea, to have this organic matter in the form of these short lengths of biomass slid under the plastic around the perimeter is going to make this idea even better. As long as it isn't or doesn't become a haven for slugs. That would be my only concern. But I think it's all good. Between the cover crop root mass and this organic material now on top of the soil, underneath the plastic, I think I'm improving this idea even more. So there we have it. I have put the frame back in place. The stems, the short stems that you saw above the ground, above the plastic, is now under the plastic. I have a double mulch there, and I think that's going to serve a good purpose. It's the ground, or the plastic around the perimeter of this bed is now kind of puffy, but it'll settle down as these stems dry down, and they'll serve a good and important purpose there. Now what I'll do is take my Leo Sprower short-handled hop hoe, and I'll cultivate a couple inches of the topsoil here, or the soil on top, and plant my cover crop. Now that bed right there is planted to a cover crop of mustard, and I have developed a special technique for planting these cover crops to get a nice even planting, maybe a little dense, but sufficiently good for mini beds. All right, and another thing, these Leo Sprower short-handled hop hoes, I should be getting a shipment of these from Leo out in the Willamette Valley here sometime before the end of the year. I hope to make these available to people. It's a great tool he makes. Okay, that's it for this episode. That's my little brainstorm, and it's all part of this Minibeds-on-Plastic Experimental Garden. I am liking this garden more and more because it is so manageable and productive and satisfying. So satisfying.